Abiola Ogunshakin, and happy Workers' Day. Now let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies and starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with May Day. Federal government approves pay rise for workers as labor leaders lament hardship. Ask workers to prepare for struggles ahead. Nigerian workers have never had it so bad. That's coming from article. Says citizens subsidizing corruption, inefficiencies of federal government. Kalu applauds workers' commitment to national development. Glow louds Nigerian workers on sacrifices. Federal government declares today public holiday. Federal governments are putting in place measures to mitigate pains of policies that according to APC, and you can see that on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And stories below on page 37. NFF wanted foreign coach not Finidi that are on sports, while on page 19 fuel scarcity, 8 vessels discharged over 300 liters at Apapa and other ports. Now on page 8, Nigeria's VAT collection lowest in Africa. That's according to Speaker Abbas. And on page 10, Sanwo-Olu restates commitment to improve lives of Lagos residents, receives a Vanguard Awards notification. And that's all we have on the Vanguard newspaper. Away from there, we move to the Punch. Punch this morning is leading with Workers' Day. Labor lament rising food prices and fuel crisis. Reps, NLC, MBA students reject electricity tariff hike. Lament rising inflation. Queues worsen gridlock. Commuters stranded. More vessels discharge at PMS. You can see that on pages 2 and 7 of the Punch newspaper. And here there are 3 pictures with one that says a pregnant woman, 8 others injured in Lagos gas explosion. You can see that on page 5. 200 billion naira debt. Ipman threatens closure of 30,000 filling stations. You can see that on page 31 and on page 7. Other than 55 stranded Nigerians repatriated from Libya. Stories above the banner, federal government raises salaries of military, police and others. Dangote refinery gets valid operating license soon. That's according to federal government. Now the Guardian, endless wait for living wage. Inflation, naira depreciation plunged Nigerians to lowest wage earners. In March 2019, when minimum wage was increased to 30,000 naira, inflation was 11.25%. Minimum wage remains 30,000 naira, but inflation in March 2024 was 33.20%. We have cost of 50 kg bag of rice. 2020 it was 6,000. As of 2021 it was 25,000. 2022 it was 31,000 naira. 2023 it was 55,000 naira. And now January to April 2024, 85,000 naira. Well, more you can see that inside the Guardian newspaper. On page 20, operative repel attack as terrorists abduct 4 in Katsina. Uzobdima appoints a self-commissioner for land. You can see that on page 7. Reps summon petroleum ministers, others over fuel scarcity and nationwide pains. You can see that on page 6. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper, Reps, NBA, Falana, Uruwa seek a reversal of electricity tariff hike. You can see that on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, the Nation. Our Nation is leading with public servants. Military, police get 35% consolidated pay rise. Workers get federal government May Day gift. Labor to demand quick action on minimum wage. You can see that on page 4. Reps invite minister over lingering petrol scarcity. EFCC to arraign Emefiele May 15 on 3-count amended charge. You can see that on page 4. And directly below the banner, North governors renew battle to end out of school children menace. And here there's this quote. It says, Northern Nigeria currently bears the burden of the highest number of out-of-school children in the world. Every child deserves access to quality education and the opportunity to develop the skills necessary to succeed. You can see that on page 28. Stories above the banner, Tinubu to lead 25 years of democracy work on May 29. And Nigeria's VAT collection lowest in Africa, says Abbas. President unlocks a $10 billion oil and gas investment. You can see that on news page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as our guest will be analyzing some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Joining us to analyze the front pages of the dailies this morning is Mr. Gbero Olajuigbe. He's the Executive Director of Emergency and Risk Alert. Good morning, Mr. Gbero.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Happy Workers' Day.
Indeed, Workers' Day, and of course, liberation must come by the reason of coming together to save ourselves and, of course, to ensure that the benefits and not display it, who do nothing but get more than enough.
Well,
more than the
as Nigerian workers commemorated the 2024 May Day today, organized labor has expressed their concern about the rising food prices and food scarcity in the country, saying that the current situation threatens a workers' survival. As a worker in Nigeria, what do you have to say about this?
Well, as a worker in Nigeria, the first thing you have to look at, whether you are in a country that is giving you what you deserve, is looking at those who have gone before you, those we call our heroes past. And these are the people that worked for Nigeria before. I'm here now talking of pensioner. What is their life like? There you begin to figure things out, how your life will look like in future, if nothing is done to address this enslavement that yes, now some pensioners have not been paid. In some cases, they are even the highest paid pensioner in some cases where review have not taken place as a pension. So this is the life, this is the future of an average worker in Nigeria. So when you are talking of those who have worked with, you are talking of, and this is where Nigeria will hardly be productive. Because when they see future, they cannot entertain or accommodate the type of picture of their future they are seeing from those that have retired, who are denying their pension. So it's a very horrible situation for the average Nigerian worker, particularly businesses that have further shrunk disposable income, that have crippled capacity to care for yourself, not even to talk inclement economic environment, and the ruthless that are manifested severally and serially in the humongous revelation of corruption, pervasive in the government before this one and in this government. So it's a difficult thing for Apapa. This is where you call the cliche that monkey they walk, baboon they shop. Or the baboon are happy while the monkeys are lamenting. The lamentation should not continue. Government should be held accountable. Workers are productivity agents. They are apostle of production. And not only that, they are the one who live sweating, making wealth, creating wealth for the society we call Nigeria. But astonishingly, those who don't work, the low and political authorities are getting more than they deserve, and they contribute can usually be measured by the standard of a country. Suppose it with other countries in the world, you will see that we cannot that is concerned about the people, the welfare, about even the country. Give a good about it. And of course, recently I was telling somebody a poor Kogi state, where corruptly enrich themselves with more than 80 billion naira. And this is a very poor country. I remember because in 2018 in that state, to the office of the governor, Yaya Bello, when he shut down for over a year because teachers were not paid their salary. So what type of workers day are we talking of?
But Mr. Guerrero,
to remind us the anguish of the average Nigerian workers.
But Mr. Guerrero, the federal government yesterday approved an increase of between 25% and 30% in salary for civil servants on the remaining 6 consolidated salary structures.
What does that mean? In a country of spiral inflation, what does that translate to? In a country, you've just read out data about the inflationary trend in Nigeria, getting to almost 38% inflationary trend now, and we are talking of increasing salary by 35%. That is unacceptable. Of what? 35% of what? 35% of 25% of what? Of what salary? What is the baseline? What is the parameters? And this is a government that claims to be negotiating with labor. They have not reached an agreement on what worker salary should be. Why is the government in haste? This is the type of deception that have characterized policy of this particular government. You are still on negotiating table, and you are here. You are playing politics that you have increased salary of civil servants by 25 or 35%. It's unconscionable. That is a betrayal of trust. It does not accommodate that have been set in motion. So I don't know about that, and I don't know what that will take to. I don't know how that will be addressed. The issues are due to the obnoxious economic policy of this government. So you can't make people poor, and that has been. And the fault is not about the government. The fault is really about Nigeria. Can you imagine that a government made dollar at 744 naira? And when the dollar fell after manipulation of the ingredients of exchange, fell to 1,300. Some Nigerians who know next to nothing about the economy are clapping for the government that is making progress from end line. You measure progress from baseline. If Tinubu cannot reduce dollar to 700 naira today, he made it at 744. It's still a failing government. So there's nothing. It has not added value to any life. And let me bring it home. The implication is that if you are happy when Tinubu took over, what you are having now is less than 5 million. That in the intrinsic value of your money, 5 million of when your money was met in the bank by Tinubu. That is the tragedy. And Nigerian people are ignorance of this analysis and this measurement when it comes to foreign exchange, when it comes to their life. So increasing civil servant workers and everything is neither here nor there. If you address nothing, it will solve no problem. Rather, what of other Nigerians? What is the need for other Nigerians? You are not governing workers alone. This is government that promise, and it's because we don't track campaign promises. When he was saying that, they said where was 179 or about that 165. That they said we will take it to 200. We will take to 500. We will bring it down. I still brought it down now. Rather, I'm taking it up. I bought fuel yesterday in filling station 950 naira. In filling station, Ohando filling station. 950 naira.
Still talking about that.
Salary by 25 and 35%.
Mr. Bello, now talking about fuel, Major Energy Marketers Association of Nigeria says that it expects over 300 million liters of PMS from 8 vessels to hit the fuel scarcity and queues in Lagos and other parts of the country this week.
I don't listen to buccaneers when they talk because I know that they talk from the abundance of lies in their NNPC have come out that we are sufficient and everything, and then they have wrecked Nigerians because they are spending their money on transportation now, spending their money on buying fuels, with the astronomical cost of energy has closed many shops, particularly small and medium scale industries, companies and services. So what are we talking about? I don't listen to them. These are characters that said in December that they have finished work at Port Harcourt refineries and that by January we will be getting fuel from there. So they try on lie, on manipulation and on propaganda. So it's a standard measure of our policy that we shun out, and it's no longer acceptable to Nigeria. So I don't listen to them because they are not coming from credible sources.
Well, Mr. Abero, who should we really blame for the hike in fuel price?
I should blame Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, who fail to realize that the purpose of government that they run, that is democracy, should be about them. That democracy is not about leader stealing 80 billion. Democracy is not about legislator and senator cutting away over 30 million as pay every month, while they begin to live in squalor, poverty, and of course scandalous abjectism. So I blame Nigeria for not being active agents in what we call democracy. Go to other spaces, you find out that people take democracy they know that they are in democratic setting only when they want to vote during election. After they have used their hands to invite problem upon themselves. So I will soon blaming the rulers, because if your ruler is bad in of the party that is not working, then we should stop blaming. I think Nigerians deserve what we are getting, particularly from this government. Buhari run showed for 8 years calamitous policy, possibly wrecking Nigeria. But Buhari was building foundation for a stronger nation and stronger economy. And go now are blaming that Buhari. So the same thing will happen. The government of the day is working on the same trajectory of not taking into cognizance the purpose of government, which is stated in the Constitution of Nigeria as the welfare. What is the welfare of the people in this current situation now, where you have wiped out the middle class, when the poor are getting poorer, and of course they are becoming irredeemably poor. So it's not that the redemption is far from average poor Nigerian, because kerosene, just even kerosene is 1,500 per liter. The kerosene used to be a given food, a given item. That is, only the poor only use it in those days. 50 naira per gallon. Gallon of kerosene now is up near 10,000 naira, because a liter is 1,500 and more in some places. So these are supposed to be what the poor benefits from the economy. And this is a government too that is talking of climate change. How do you manage deforestation in a situation where kerosene price is astronomical? If a poor man buy kerosene of 1,500 naira, where is the food he wants to use to cook it? A mudu of rice this now is 2,400. I used to take cognizance of this in the market. Yesterday I was inside Keke because I have to take Keke to some places in order to get information from the street. Because I don't want to be talking to theory. I talk to practice, to what is obtainable. I engage about 3 of them separately and differently. And what they are saying about the country is a country that is being rejected by our citizens. And the problem is because of what the leaders are doing to Nigeria. They are wreaking havoc. They are making people poor, extremely poor. And of course, this these people are becoming social menace. If you get to Abuja now, hardly do you see a traffic junction where people obey light again. So when you're on the road, just be careful. The drivers are even, because everybody is driving the way he likes. Because of course that is the measure of what a country has become. A country where nobody cares, the state is not caring for you, and then you don't have a sense of responsibility to obey the law of that state. People are breaking it at all levels. Even those who govern, those who rule, they don't obey rules. They don't obey laws. So these are challenges we are facing. And to fix this country, I really think that people have to square up. Take the country back from those who are bent on destroying them. And most of them are in leadership, so-called leadership positions.
Okay.
And rulers at best.
All right, Mr. Guerrero, let's end this on a lighter note this morning with Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking is Mr. So what's the definition of love? And Mrs. replied, so real love, Mr. says yes. And she says, a joint account where the man only deposits and only the woman withdraws.
Well, that is authoritarian. I think joint account by implication means that you should have both you have access. It's not to say that men has responsibility to cater for their family, particularly their wives and your wife or your children. They come back to you one way or the other, whether in terms of appreciation, whether in terms of peace at home.
Yeah.
Even for your peace, at least you can give the key of your vow to your wife. Particularly if you have one that is sensible, the one that has everybody's interest attached. But then, if you know that one of you is reckless, one of you is careless, one of you can be negligent when it comes to family welfare, then you are like Nigeria. There you will know that you have a family that is like Nigerian government. So you begin to look at how to plan better and achieve results for your family. This is the time for family to even go on retreat now. And look at the picture of family they want to have. Because Nigeria is not smiling and is not there for any family right now.
But Mr. Agbero, not many people can afford money to even go for a retreat.
No, what I mean by retreat can be a reflection even in your home.
Okay.
Now you can have retreat in your parlor, call your children and everything. Your wife is your vice president, you are the president, the children are the parliament. So you make your own government there, what type of family you want to build. You create a vision for your family, you create a mission of how to get there, you create a mission of what to do to achieve results in this family, and you create a vision. Of course, at times, if necessary, you can declare or state mineral in this family again, because mineral is 500 naira now. Nobody will consume this and everything. You can cut short. Let us all look at our family, review what we are doing. That, of course, most of the things we do with all enjoyment, they contribute to our health budget. So let us remove those ones and replace them with those things that are just necessary. Like we learn in economy. Let us not budget according to our wants. Let us now begin to budget according to our needs. And that is how we can wriggle out of this malaise and manipulated atmosphere of economic climate that we have found ourselves.
All right, thank you, Mr. Agbero, for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure, but let me start give the power to withdraw, the power of attorney to the wife to begin to withdraw. So let's see the result in 1 year's time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and do well to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also visit our website www.vanguardnj.com to get more of our top stories. My name is Damola Ogunshaki. Have a lovely day.